moving forward, South Park, the pandemic special. South Park, the pandemic special. Exciting stuff. This is not, for all you South Park fans out there, this is not the premiere of season 24. This is not the premiere of the 24th season, however. It is instead an hour-long special. Can you boys believe that there has never been an hour-long special in the history of South Park?
There hasn't?
There
That's
been.
right. Yeah, because then all the other ones were just episodes, then repurposed as a special. That's right. Yeah. Okay. The Simpsons one, the Imagination Land one. Yeah.
Dom, I think you muted yourself, by the way, too. FYI, I think you muted yourself by accident.
I totally did, but it's good. It's just I hit the mute button. But yeah, no. There was the movie, but that's really all that I can think of. I didn't look up. I didn't look up any behind the scenes for this, but I'm figuring because they were on quarantine, they had all the time in the world to actually make something past 20, 30 minutes now. So I guess they have that going for them. So.
I mean, you have the Coon trilogy. What you have ultimately are like multiple episodes that run together.
Yeah,
there's
I
the
really
Coon
like that trilogy.
There's the Imagination Land trilogy that was then made into like kind of a 90-minute movie. That's what they've done. They really never did like hour-long shows, which is why the pandemic special is very noteworthy. And it's a lot of fun. I have to say it's a lot of fun. I think a lot of us have been waiting in some capacity for South Park to touch on the pandemic in some way. And I mean, Jesus Christ, the world this whole year has felt like an extended South Park episode. You have masks, you have a pandemic, you have people who can't figure out how to wear a mask properly, you have police brutality issues, you have Zoom meetings, you have riots, you have protests, you have everything in the kitchen sink, you have a lackadaisical government. This is ripe for South Park. And I'm really happy that we got a special like this. And you know what? First and foremost, can I just say this? It's great to be able to laugh in times of calamity and stress, as dark as the world seems. And that's what South Park's pandemic special ultimately provides. It's 45 minutes long. Is it a little overstuffed? Probably, but hey, so is the year 2020 ultimately. Is it a little bit underdeveloped in some respects for the satire? Maybe a little bit. But at the end of the day, there's enough here and there's enough South Park spirit to go around. And I really like this special. It was a fun, hectic, breakneck 45-minute watch. What say you, Joe?
So for me, I've been keeping up with South Park this entire time. I don't know if you guys have or not. I've been keeping up with it since I saw it when I was really young till every other season after, basically, and every season has come out, I should say. For me, it is 100% what I agree with you, Steve. It is a fun special. It's great, but it is overstuffed, and that's actually an issue that's happened with like the previous 6 seasons of South Park. I think at this point is that because of how crazy the world is getting, they want to cover everything as much as possible, and sometimes it's great and they knock it out of the park. Most of the time, though, an episode is overstuffed and you get a lot of storylines that don't feel like they have really a conclusion to them or are underdeveloped. And the special is the best of both worlds of that. There is stuff in this special that is just like, wow, you guys hit it right out of the park with this. That was funny. I loved watching how this played out. And then there's stuff that's just like, damn, you could have waited, or damn, you guys could have made maybe an hour and a half special, or maybe just had your entire season just cover each little thing about this, but who knows. For me, I enjoyed basically everything with Randy. Everything they do with Randy recently has been great. Him as a pot farmer, I think, was a great change to his character. The Boys is the plotline I felt like was underdeveloped, where they're trapped at school and they're trying to get out so Butters can make a stuffed animal at a Build-A-Bear. Thank you. And then all the other little gags, like the stuff with the police and the stuff with the president, I thought was like right on the money. You hit it right there.
Got it.
Go on, Don, go ahead.
Yeah, honestly, I was just looking forward to the police thing because that's like the number one thing that I was looking forward to from South Park out of all of it, and they hit it right on the head. This whole thing really was comfort food for me. because I wasn't like, I know there are some people who are hyping it up because they look to, some people like live on South Park and like, they looking to that for for their direction in life and all that stuff, and just being a big part of their lives, which is good. I appreciate that to an extent, and in many ways South Park does deserve that for, especially if you like South Park, you need to watch the documentary. It's a mini documentary, like an hour long, I think.
7 Days to Air. Yeah.
It's called 6 Days to Air. It is fascinating.
It
the
is.
small amount of time. Now, obviously, because we're in quarantine times, like I said earlier, they probably have more time. But just season to season, episode to episode, how they make a show is incredible. And just from a craft point of view, like that is astounding.
Yeah.
And
100%. And to
there's
see
a
the
reason why.
disillusionment too with like Trey Parker. I remember at the end of the documentary
Mhm.
how he's like, half the time when I watch these episodes back, I just think of what else we could have done if we
Which
had
is
more
good.
time.
Like that's a great thing you have out of every artist, and I'm glad that they're not, I'm glad they're like that. And it shows through their work. So yeah, like I said, this is really just more comfort food for me because I was expecting that level of South Park wit. I'll first say that, yeah, South Park shines when they're on the attack. And they had so many targets to attack here that I was almost worried. And I thought, because I wasn't really expecting too much out of it, the overstuff thing, I totally see, but it didn't really affect me that much. Joe, tell me, how have they been treating Trump these past 4 years? Not treating, but how have they been approaching
Oh, man.
Trump? I know Mr. Garrison is Trump. They weren't, according to what I heard, they didn't even plan on like that being a long running thing because they didn't think he was going to win. Like on the night of the 2016 election, they had to like switch, like make a whole new show.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't kept up with South Park really either, so that was kind of mystifying to me too for a minute with Garrison as Trump.
I'll give a quick recap. That 2016 season, they did actually have Donald Trump, but he was the president of Canada. And what happened is that Canada actually built a wall to block off Americans. And Mr. Garrison, who was running as president, was insulted by that, so he went to Canada and he ends up killing that version of Trump. And then because Trump got crazier and crazier throughout his election campaign in 2016, they just decided to keep Garrison in this whole election thing and like, oh, we'll just make him Trump. And then as you were saying, yes, there's the whole news about how they thought Hillary was going to win, and the episode originally had Hillary winning, but by the end of the episode, Mr. Garrison ends up winning. Basically, what they've just been doing with him is just whatever Trump does, they just match that energy with Mr. Garrison and raise it by like 10.
How can you? Because we're already at 11 in real life.
That's the thing.
guess
The minute the episode comes out, the following week, Trump will do something that's like, okay, like how are you guys gonna top that now in South Park?
Having been removed from South Park's new episodes for quite some time, I think the last two new episodes I can remember watching are the one with the Redskins logo. With the Washington Redskins logo, I remember that one, and then the other one was the Integrity Farms one because I liked how they were dealing like Jewel pods, and I was into Jewel at the time, so I thought that was funny. But I love the line. Many lines in this pandemic special. I love way too many to reiterate. But I like the line when Garrison makes his debut in the episode, and he's sitting there, and the White House aides are coming, and they're like, Mr. President, Dr. Fauci's on line one, and he goes, tell Dr. Fauci to eat shit off my balls. I love that. That was, you hate to know, but it's probably in some form kind of reality. But then even Fauci makes a cameo in this episode too, and I like when he says the mask will not be effective unless it's over your mouth and nose.
The chin diapers.
Well, who the hell are you to tell us what to do?
boy.
There's so much of that. There's so much of that here. There's just same thing goes with South Park since day one. It's the little things in the episode that are funnier than the actual big joke. Like the mustache joke is kind of funny, but those little asides and like another one with the cops, when the cops are like, due to circumstances completely out of our control, we're being defunded. Those little quips are what make this show so great.
I love also the line too. It's just like, yes, because there's like a little fight in the classroom, and it's Cartman and Kyle fighting each other, and of course the cops pull out their guns, and rather than like stopping the fight, they end up shooting Token, and they say the reason why Token was leaving the school is COVID related reasons, and then like Stan's like, yeah, no, I was there, you shot him. Yes, we shot him due to COVID-related
But if we
reasons.
hadn't, well, if COVID hadn't hit, the teachers wouldn't have been gone. Therefore, we wouldn't have been teachers. Therefore, we wouldn't have shot them. So there
Yeah,
you go.
there you
And I
go.
was like,
Exactly.
the police thing. Well, they didn't even need to spend a lot of time, but they hit everything they needed to hit
Yeah.
with the police stuff. That was the number one thing I was
Especially
looking
when
for.
they get their funding back. Oh, that whole montage, I was laughing
so
so
good.
hard.
With Motley Crue
Yeah,
and Kickstart My Heart. Like,
So there was one big thing I was worried about going back into South Park, particularly with this pandemic special, which was that they kind of fall into a kind of a both sides bad kind of thing. Joe, you have more of a assessment of the show as it goes along, and like, do you agree with the assessment? Tell me if I'm wrong. But like South Park has a habit of like just kind of putting its hands up in the air and being like both sides are bad, but also nothing matters, and then it just gets really nihilistic and defeatist, and it's like, well, I don't know, this doesn't seem healthy season after season, and you know that not that they don't have the right to do that, but there was that one I think season ending where it was involving the Fleetwood Mac song landslide. It was like, I think Stan could literally only see shit or something.
Yeah,
he could only talk
he
shit.
hears shit from both sides. Like, you have the older generation that's like, oh, this music sounds like shit, and the younger generation it's like, no, your music sounds like shit, and Stan's just caught in between. Yeah, that episode, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad. I have to go back and watch that one.
But let me say, those fears were completely swept us away once we got into the episode. It was hitting everything it needed to, and that's fine by me. Honestly, I was not around I was around, but I was not old enough to appreciate the post 9/11 episode of South Park. I knew about it in retrospect, and the kind of the weight it had on its shoulders, the kind of gravitas that it inherently had as being a really edgy, hard-hitting political show, just an irreverent show.
Yeah.
Swear words up and down, pushing the envelope, and then to come back after a national tragedy like 9/11. I wasn't old enough to appreciate that. I feel like this is the closest I'll probably get to, hopefully the closest I'll ever get, but the closest I have gotten to that with South Park, because we are living in unprecedented times, you know, haha, but we really are. And just seeing all of it play out in the wacky world of South Park really was comfort food to me. That's my go-to phrase here, and I'm glad I watched it.
The episode he's referring to is Osama bin Laden has farty pants, the very gracefully named episode. But back to Dominic's point, though, we don't have much time to touch on this, though, but it is a common criticism that South Park centrism gets in its own way. And you can see that. You can definitely see that, especially when you're a show that predicates itself on offending, which is really what they have been doing since the jump. Like, you get, and they've gone on for so long. I mean, South Park started I believe the year I was born, 96. So it's been going on for 24 years. And the thing about it is that you have the problem where it's like making fun of the Muslim faith and making fun of radical Christians is like equated in such a way, or something along those lines. You know what I mean? Where there's definitely, like, you know, where they try to portray both sides as equally insane, as opposed to the fact that there's many layers of gray.
Yeah.
But I go back to what Trey and Matt have always said, though. They said, we are consistently amazed, and this was back even in the earlier days before the computer and the technology. Again, having not watched South Park regularly for about 10 years, Jesus Christ, man, the attention to detail is exquisite. I couldn't believe Hell's Pass Hospital. I remember when that was just a gray blob. Like, or the friggin' school looks beautiful. I was totally blew my eye. But on a final note,
the background looks better now too, like in the modern update of it.
I know, right? This is what I thought South Park still was. But Trey and Matt, they said one time, they're like, we're just consistently amazed how many death threats Comedy Central executives get over cardboard cutouts.
Yeah,
we're consistently amazed.
For real.
You know. So I enjoyed it, though. I give it 3 out of 4 stars if we want to jump into star ratings.
Yeah, no, I'll jump in that too. I'm in the same boat as you. I enjoyed it. And I do see the criticism that you brought up, Dom. Yeah, that's been a thing, especially these last like 4 or 5 seasons. It has been
more so the series and less so the episode, more so the series overall.
Yeah, yeah. I would say like that criticism is really showing up now more than ever, because it's like you'll get an episode where like they'll pick fun at Republicans or Democrats. You'll get an episode where they pick fun at like the religions that Steve brought up. And it's just like, yeah. And then by the end of it, it's like, at the end you always get the lesson from the kids. But like recently, it feels like when you get to that lesson thing, it's just like, well, I mean, come on, guys, we're South Park. Like, we're going to make fun of everybody. Like,
that's true. I do wonder. Sorry, I know we're going to.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to mention on that part, and then we'll go into our final thoughts, final thoughts, which is that I'm not even like opposed to them punching like both sides of the aisle or whatever across the spectrum, because because that's fine. I think the problem is that the fact that they try to have a lesson at all is almost like is the problem, because inherently when you try to have a lesson, you're inherently choosing something.
There was There was an episode recently though where like it was such a gray situation that when it came time for the lesson, like Stan's like trying to give the speech, he's like, guys, what I really learned today was, oh shit, what did I learn today? The lesson is like, actually things are gray. Like that was the lesson of the episode, and it's like it shows up at the very end. It's like, oh my god, that was actually really well done. It's one of their better episodes recently. But for me,
the lesson here was good. I just want to say Stan's monologue at the end, I felt that on a personal level.
Yeah,
continue.
Yeah, definitely. It's more of like a personal like level thing of like, God, like the world sucks and everything like that he's bringing all up. I won't ruin it. It's actually a really like thing that I think everybody can relate to. For me, the best thing South Park has been doing lately, other than the show, is the video games. I think Stick of Truth and Fractured Butthole, like you can watch those on YouTube. They're absolutely amazing to play and watch.
Stick of Truth is great.
Yeah, I have so much fun playing through them. I have so much fun going back on YouTube and watching highlights of them. I can't wait till they finally end this series with the movie that they're trying to get off the ground. For me, though, I'm in the same boat as Steve. It's 3 out of 4 stars. I can't wait for the new season. But like this pandemic special did have the same problems I've been having with the recent seasons. As much as a fan I am of it, I wasn't going to be like, well, I'm not going to let this slide.
Dominic, send us home.
3 out of 4 stars. Randy Marsh is the muse of that team. Holy hell. Whenever he does something so disgusting and immoral, it just gets better and better. They can just keep milking that character as much as they I think they just flat out switched, like they elevated, because Randy Marsh, I completely forgot if he was even in the earlier episodes. Nowadays, like in the past 10 years, he has just been elevated to like main status, and it is perfect. He is the star of the show in my eyes, more than Cartman, more than Stan, more than the main four. And it is
blasphemy.
Dude, when he goes ham, and it is those are the most outrageous parts. But anyway, dude, comfort food for me. Damn good special. I might even start watching it again. It'll be interesting to see how they tackle this post election once again. I think they've learned their lesson, because I actually distinctly remember the 2008 election, Obama versus McCain, and they had the plot in such a way where they could just easily interchange the plot, because it wasn't even political. It was like everyone involved, Palin, McCain, and the Obamas were like bank robbers, and like you could have just easily done whatever. You remember that? Yeah.
That's a great episode.
So it wasn't even like tied to a plot. So I'm very curious to see what they do in the next election, and I'll leave it there. 3 out of 4.